Pastor Ashley was a very high energy, relational lead pastor at a church. She poured her life into that church. She cared about the people. The people loved her. They trusted her. She was there for them. She was there for all of them. No matter what happened, she was pouring herself out in ministry to the people around her. But after several years of that, she became frustrated and tired. In fact, exhausted. She began to wonder if she was the only one that cared. She tried to get other people to join with her in the ministry, but no one else seemed to have the same passion and energy that she had. People weren't willing to commit the way she was willing to commit. And after some time, she began to think even about the possibility of throwing in the towel. That's a story that we see often in churches across North America. Bishop Jones is an exuberant, creative, a fantastic communicator. People love coming to hear him preach. He is a part of a church with exciting worship services. He is a compelling person. He's a vision caster. People are inspired when they listen to him. And yet, there were so often that they have a difficult time at his church getting people to engage and participate fully in ministry. And when they do, very often there's a high turnover rate. They become frustrated by a lack of organization, a lack of management, a lack of clear understanding and expectation. And so not only the ministries of the church and the leaders of the church who work closely with Bishop Jones, but even the church as a whole tends to be a revolving door with people coming, enjoying for a while, and then slipping out. There's another church, First Church. It's a small church. It's been around a long time. And for quite some time, there's been a group of church board members, volunteers, elders that come, and they are hardworking. They love Jesus. They care about the church. They're fully committed. They know what it takes to lead a church and to make sure that church is taken care of. They've been protecting that church for years from anything happening or going wrong. They've made sure that there aren't any major mistakes. Problem is, they can't seem to ever get new volunteers to come in. And when they do occasionally get a volunteer, those volunteers don't seem to quite do it quite as well as they do. And in fact, it's just easier for them to do it themselves. And so they kind of keep a tight rein on how things are done, exactly the way they need to be done. Now, these are stories of 3 fictitious churches, not real people, not real churches. And yet, for those of us who are pastors and have pastored in churches of various sizes, some of these stories hit a little too close to home. We know that getting people engaged and really invested in the life of a church is a never-ending battle. Having volunteers who are inspired and trained and empowered to serve seems like it's always number one on the priority list of things that need to happen. Well, welcome to this 4-part series of video talks that we're going to have. My name is Steve Kent, and I'm calling this the Pastor's Job Description, Empowering the People of God. And this is a series of talks that's geared specifically to pastors. I know there's lots of other types of leadership in the world that involves empowering and team building, but where I live is pastoral ministry in the local church. And so we're going to gear toward church leaders in local churches. We're going to talk about empowering others and building a team of volunteers through empowering ministry and empowering leadership. This is the case for empowering leadership. It's modeled to us in the Old Testament. It's modeled to us in the New Testament. Jesus himself models this idea of empowering others to lead and to do ministry. It is not dependent on the size of the church or the personality of the pastor. Large church, small church, outgoing, dynamic, creative, or other types of personalities that are a part of being pastoral ministry. It's not dependent on what your personality is. It's an effective discipleship strategy, and at the same time, it's an effective evangelism strategy. That being said, it's not a quick fix. I can't promise you that it will even grow your church, to be honest with you, but I can promise you this: empowering leadership will help grow your people. Sometimes through behaviors, attitudes, actions, beliefs, habits are actually counterproductive to inspiring and engaging volunteers. It's unintentional. We don't mean to do it, But the way in which we lead and the organizational structure that we use to lead can actually work against us to engage leaders and volunteers. Everyone who's a believer is a minister, not just pastors and missionaries. Everyone has a ministry, and everyone is called to ministries. Empowering the people of God is the job description of the pastor. And so we're going to take a look at Ephesians 4, 1 through 16 as our guide, and we're going to explore that. These are the 4 videos that we're going to have. This first one is just an introduction to the pastor's job description. Part 2 is going to be the calling to empower. What's the calling of the pastor on their life? Part 3, the work of empowering. What does that look like and how is that done? And Part 4, what is the goal? Why do we empower others? I'm going to end this introductory video with this adaptation of a quote from Elton Trueblood in his book, The Incendiary Fellowship. Ready? This quote rings around in my head on a regular basis. It's this: remember, it's not your job to find people to help you with your ministry. It's your job to help people find their ministry in the church and in the world. Thanks.